Welcome back to the performance management human resource function of the human resource in practice program. Now let's go. We talked about the overview of human resource performance management in human resource function. We talked about performance appraisal. Now we want to look at the prerequisites, the factors that are necessary for you to set up, that you must consider rather, before setting up a performance management process. Not just even setting up, before setting up and executing a performance management process. We look at the prerequisites, we look at performance planning, performance management planning, as well as performance planning. Remember, we talked about HR planning as a very important function in executing your human resource activities within the business. We will also talk about performance execution. How do we conduct a performance appraisal? What is the best method, to use in getting the best of results within an organization? We'll talk about performance assessment. How do we assess and evaluate the result or the activity, the exercise once it is done? Then we'll also look at reviewing the performance of individuals at the end of the process, and then we'll also look at performance renewal and recontracting. All right, performance renewal. How do you encourage people, to carry on with their activities and on a new mindset? All right, so let's dive into it now. The critical factors, or rather, we have a lot, but two critical factors that we must understand or we must engage as a prerequisite, as a pre-criteria before setting up that system is that, do you have a knowledge of the organization's mission, her vision, and her strategic goals? This is very important. All right, this is very important. You must have, number one, as an HR practitioner, you cannot push it on your employees and you don't know. So for you to carry out a human resource exercise, human resource performance management exercise, you also must know. So that's why I like to encourage HR practitioners that when you are carrying out a performance management exercise and you are doing it for technical teams, so for example, maybe construction workers, all right, or an architect or a miner, if you do not have an understanding of what you need to do, get somebody from the technical team to do same on your behalf. Not just on your behalf, to support you, you do it together. All right, there are certain areas you will cover, there are certain areas the technical team will cover. Now, where there are cases where you do not have the technical team to join you, somebody from the team to join you, it is important that you have an understudy. Know exactly what you are appraising the individual for, that employee for, or else you are the one who is likely to cause the process to fail. All right, so please, HR practitioners, bear this in mind. You must have a knowledge of the organization's missions and strategic goals, her visions. What exactly is she interested in doing? What is she all about? When I mean she, I mean the business, I mean the organization. What is she all about? What are they all about? Then you must have a knowledge of the job in question. That's what I talked about. You must have a knowledge of the job in question. If you are dealing with technicalities, get somebody on the technical team to join you. Where you don't have cases like that, where you're not in such an open environment, or an environment where you need technical support, you must have a knowledge of the job in question. Okay, and remember, you should have done your job analysis at the time when you were planning for that role. You should also have done your job analysis at the time way ahead of the recruitment process, because that is where I'm sure you would have identified your gaps, you would have identified the need of the organization. At the end of the day, you have this as a handy tool to use when it is time for performance management, because remember also, you had used this tool when you were hiring. That is why HR planning is critical. If you want to have a smooth ride as a human resource practitioner and enjoy your work in the business, Do not overlook or discard human resource planning. You will need it at the end of the day in almost all of this function. Now we are talking about performance management, and it is resurfacing. We talked about the same in recruitment and training. We talked about the same in recruitment and talent management, and then in training and development. Now we are talking about it again with performance management. So please bear this in mind. All right. Again, I said one of the prerequisites for conducting a successful performance management appraisal exercise, as well as the entire system itself, have a knowledge of the organization's mission and strategic goals, have visions and objectives. Then have a knowledge of the job in question. Through your performance analysis, even when you have technical support, also ensure you have an understanding or a knowledge of the job. Now, before you carry out a performance management appraisal exercise or you set up an entire performance management system, please bear this in mind. You must plan your performance activity. You must plan your performance, your entire performance system. Your employees should be aware that there is a performance management system in place within the organization. Your employees must be aware, must be informed that there are periodic performance management exercises to determine their performance. So when you are planning, you must include areas for results. You must include observation of behaviors. Either if you're using the questionnaire method, whatever method that you're choosing to use, you must be able to look at the results of their performance. You must look at the behaviors of the performance of the employees, the behavior of the employees. And then you must look at developmental issues. Is this person growing? Is this organization growing? So for example, when I am evaluating an organization, not the individual now, the organization, which covers their structure, their system, their people, yes, their procedures, okay, and there's something else. Now, when I am looking at all of this and their structures and including their tools, the kind of tools or their books that they're using or the methods they're using. Now, when I am looking at these key areas in evaluating the performance of an organization, of a business entity, I will ask key questions like, are your staffs, for example, are your staff being developed? Are they growing? Are they better people versus the time they initially came into that business? Okay. Now I'll ask you, your tools, are your tools doing exactly what you want it to do? Or you're just giving yourself the opportunity to brag that your organization has the best of tech tools, but we are not using it. Okay. What is the behavior of your system? What's your culture like? What is the behavior of your administrative system? What is the behavior of your operational system? So you are looking at results. Is your organization producing for her employees? Is your organization doing well financially? What's the financial health state of your business? What's the people health? What is the health of your people? Not their individual health now. What is the mindset that your people carry? What's the culture that they execute, that they show off, that they live by within the business? I was listening to a client, one time when I was meeting with a new client, trying to onboard a new client, and the client was, bitter when the person was explaining. He was just saying that the kind of organizational culture I desire, that I've always wanted to have in my business, is not what my employees are executing. Is not what my employees are displaying. All right, now to say, okay, Lighthouse, what can you do for us? And then we started talking. Now, what behaviors are your people, are your system displaying? These are key areas that you must consider when you are planning your performance management exercise or your entire system. Now, in executing your performance procedures or your performance systems or your performance appraisal exercise, ensure that your execution stage must, have commitment to achieving the goal of the organization. Okay, in executing your performance management system or appraisal exercise, Be committed. Your system must be committed in achieving the goal of the organization. So that is commitment to goal achievement. Okay. Be it the individual, be it the organizational system and structure, or regardless of what your purpose is at the end of the day. Now, in executing your performance management system and structure, your process must be ongoing. You must have continual feedback, which in turn will breed what? Coaching and communication, mentoring, training and development. Okay. You must also know that during the process of execution, you are collecting data, you are sharing performance data, you are preparing for performance reviews. Okay. Once you have done your exercise and you have done your exercise and appraisal, you have the result, you have your feedback, you have your data. Now let us review it. Let us look at it, and let us pick out the critical information we need to make key sustainable decisions so that the business can grow, the organization can grow, your people can grow, your employees will do well. All right. These execution factors must not be left alone. One, performance reviews, collecting and sharing performance data, communicating and ensuring you are getting feedback from your employees so that you can help with development, training, learning, all right, coaching, mentoring, all right. Then ensure that you're in executing, your commitment is to achieve those goals on behalf of the organization. Now, once all of this is done, how do I assess my performance appraisal system or my performance appraisal exercise? It is important that your employees, as well as the managers, the owners of the business, take ownership for that management process. I cannot, in short, I make emphasis on this. HR, you cannot put your responsibility on another. You cannot point fingers and say it failed because of this person. You will own it. CEOs, entrepreneurs, business owners that are listening to me on this platform, it is important for you to know this. Okay. You must own the process. You must own the assessment process. You must own your business. You must own your duties and responsibilities and not shift responsibility to another. If you are able to do this, especially during the assessment, even from day one, from planning stage, from pre-planning stage, if you can afford it, from pre-planning stage up to assessment and beyond the assessment stage, ensure that you're doing what you own the process. From your employees, ensure that you let them understand that they should own the results. When they say a performance management process fail, own it. If it's a success, own it. If the results of the performance comes out, let the employees also be encouraged. Even before the assessment comes out, let the employees be encouraged to own it. If you deny it, if you deny this existence, what happens is that we will not grow, we will not move forward. But once you identify, look at it and accept that, yes, indeed, this is a problem. This is the solution. This is a problem. What happens is that we begin to look for solution. This is our victory. We did well. We performed well this period. The question is that, are we to relax, or is there something else we can do to improve? All right. So bear this in mind. When you are also carrying out a performance assessment, it will help the organization to use the information it has obtained in a productive manner. So also the employees, I mentioned it for future requirements. So when you have found out that, oh, we have done well with our performance this quarter, it gives you resourceful information that you can leverage for future improvements. All right. It's not just discarding this information, it's looking at it and using it. And then there are cases where in assessing, you are to include self-appraisal. Let the employees appraise themselves. You as an HR practitioner, your department, your unit must also appraise itself so that it can know and have an understanding that there are benefits in all areas, in all manner of execution or in operations. All right. Now, these key factors must be considered and cannot be overlooked. Please don't discard them. After you have conducted your assessment, it is time for us to review. Review each stage of the performance management appraisal process. Review each stage. Ensure that during this stage you are meeting with employees and you are meeting with the managers. You're meeting with supervisors, superiors. You're meeting with everybody. You're meeting with the different units. You're meeting with all of the departments, okay, when you are reviewing this stage. Okay, ensure that whatever meeting you are having in reviewing this stage is an appraisal meeting. It's not just another meeting. The purpose of this meeting to review the performance is to review and appraise the entire process. Please do not say that we have our general assembly where all employees meet with the ogas at the top, okay, and then we are looking at certain key areas, and then that is the same time we also want to do what? We also want to bring in the appraisal meeting. No, no, no. If you're setting up and you're reviewing performance, create a time to have an appraisal meeting. Review meetings will help both the employees and the employers to design developmental plans. All right. When we have found poor performance, good performance, non-performance, underperformance, or no performance at all right, your meetings will help you to be able to design training and developmental programs based on those assessments, based on the review. Now, once this review has been carried out or is completed, is been finished, all right, what you should do is now we're asking ourselves key questions like, we have identified certain things in the planning stage. We have identified strengths, weaknesses, and certain new skills within this individual, within this team of people, within this department. Once these things have been identified, what do we do next? That's the kind of question you're asking. Okay, what are we doing next with this employee? Are we recontracting? Recontracting will mean, for example, you are taking on contract jobs. You are done with your appraisal, the end of the period is near, and you're wrapped up. Now you're asking yourself quick question: did this person perform optimally? Yes. Should we recontract? Should we review? I mean, should we realign the purpose of the contract and have a comeback? Should we proceed to the next stage or to the next tier of the contract, or we terminate at this point? Okay, so managers using insights from the performance assessment or the information gained from such performance assessment is supposed to leverage this information, use this information for other phases in the project or other phases in the performance, in achieving the performance goal. Now, there are cases where the performance management exercise did not go well. What happens? You are encouraged to reset. So that is where we have renewal. Do we need to renew the contract, or do we need to go back and reset the performance goals? Because there are certain cases that so many things would have happened within the period of the contract, within the period of that fiscal year. And then you find out that, oh no, the result we have achieved versus what we initially had in mind to achieve are two different, are worlds apart. So do we need to reset the performance goal so that employees can do better? This is for an employer here. Or the employees, I didn't do well versus the organization. This is for you. How do I reset myself in order to perform adequately? So we come to the end of the overview and the introductory part of the performance management system. In the next phase, we will be looking at the different tools that are critical, important, that as an HR practitioner you can leverage in order to do what? To carry out successfully an employee performance management appraisal activity. See you and enjoy the rest of the program.